Hello, welcome to a special edition of TNM TV. I'm on location at the 21st Annual Canadian Mining Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I'm Susan Kerwin, and over the next few weeks I'll be introducing you to this year's inductees. Every year, up to 700 people gather at the Fairmont Royal York Hotel to celebrate Canada's mining industry greats. This year's inductees were Professor Digger Gorman, an inspirational mineralogy prof at the University of Toronto, Bernard Michel, who transformed Cameco into one of the world's top uranium companies, geologist and dealmaker Roman Schlenka, who helped develop major projects all over the world, and Granville Thomas, who's responsible for Canada's Diavik diamond mine in the Northwest Territories. As I'm sure you know, Canada is rich with minerals. We have gold, silver, copper, nickel. We even have Gormanite. Yes, Gormanite. If you haven't heard of it, maybe you've never met Professor Donald Gorman. Known as Digger to most, he inspired thousands of mineralogy students at U of T. He taught there for nearly half a century, receiving awards for both his advancements in science and for his teaching.
In 1951, I was hired by the Department of Geology, University of Toronto, as a lecturer. I was never very fond of that term because I really thought I was being hired to teach mineralogy. There's a vast difference between lecturing and teaching. The success of the teacher is always measured by the success of the student. And fortunately for me, I've had a great many successful students.
Digger is most famously remembered for his dreaded white minerals test, where students had to identify 25 white minerals by examining their properties. David Harkwill remembers Digger's test well.
He had a nasty habit of tossing into the mineral trace exotic substances like pieces of Coke bottles or broken porcelain. And he would take great pleasure watching us students try to do our streak and hardness tests on these and allocate them to some exotic mineral classification.
For the last test, all the minerals were pure white, and that's a very, very difficult test to pass, and they always did. And when they went out in the geological world, you know, they were going to encounter so many white minerals, and I think it taught them well.
Digger's hard work didn't go unrecognized. He received an Outstanding Teaching Award in 1978 and had a new mineral named after him in 1981. In 2004, U of T listed Digger as one of its greatest teachers of the past, a select group of less than 100 former faculty members. Digger loved sharing his knowledge and being a geologist.
Well, there's just nothing like it. It's such a healthy life. You spend time in school and you learn, then you go out in the fresh air and field trips, and we're a small community. Everybody knows each other, and it's just a great life.
Digger always gives generously of his time to enlighten audiences on the importance of minerals to society. He was a star attraction at mineral and gem shows, and no, not because he was topless. Novice and professional collectors would try to stump the expert, but seldom did.
Fellow U of T professor Jeff Fawcett says that Digger was once approached by a man at a gem show who was sure he could stump him with some black bead-like samples.
And Dig took a quick look at them and then a slightly longer look at the man himself and said, "Tektites from Vietnam." The man's jaw dropped and he was shaking his head as he left. Of course, Dig was right, but he wasn't quite sure of the identification. It was the man himself who provided the clinching clues. A pronounced US accent, a short crew cut, a military pin in his shirt. He was obviously a US serviceman recently returned from Vietnam. Over the 160 years of our department's history, there have been and still are many good teachers and quite a few excellent ones too. It's my honor and very great pleasure to present the symbols of his new status as a member of the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame to the greatest teacher of them all, Digger Gorman.
I feel honored. I didn't expect it, but there you go. Somebody thought I was worthy anyway. People are always saying, you know, what makes a good teacher? I don't know. I guess I was born to it, and I'm happy that I was, and I wish I still was.
That wraps up our first segment on the Canadian Mining Hall of Fame inductees. Join me 2 weeks from now to learn about Bernard Michel. He transformed Cameco into one of the world's leading uranium producers.